Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Untapped Podcast. My name is Jacob Gabel.
And my name is Jacob Wurtz, guys. Welcome to episode 114. If this is your first time joining us for the Untapped Podcast, first of all, thank you. We are thrilled to have you here with us. We've actually got 5 main formats of our show. First, we have Forging Fortitude episodes. That's what we have for you today. In these episodes, we go over our anecdotal evidence of mindset and mentality, things like that. We give you tips and advice to then apply to your own lives. Next, we have physical vitality episodes. Now, in these episodes, we really get to showcase our expertise because you have 2 certified personal trainers here. Now, in these episodes, we cover the physical side of our brand. We go over everything to do with the gym, fitness, nutrition, diet, workouts, workout programs like 75 Hard, supplements, and then sometimes we will even take trending topics or articles within the fitness industry, and we will give our thoughts and opinions on those.
Great start, dude. And if you guys are interested in getting trained by us too, that is also an option.
Yes.
In our bio, DM us for it if you guys are interested. So, third format, guys, is our breaking news format. That is a current event-based format. Now, in that one, we do not doom and gloom. We don't talk about how the world's going to end or something like that. We do talk about articles that show the world, is not going in the right direction, but we also give solutions on how to turn that around. Now, our fourth format is our Knights Table format. It's a masculinity-based format. That one actually connects really well with our current event-based format because masculinity is a big part of turning this world in the right direction, as we've talked about with fatherhood. Keep in mind, I'm 25, Wurtz is 25, Mitchell's 23. Because of that reason, we're not coming to you from the top of the mountain. The only perfect man to ever exist, ever, was Jesus Christ. Now, on to our fifth format. That is a guest format. You can probably guess what that means. It's when we sit down with an entrepreneur, fitness professional, athlete, doctor, somebody with a great story. We learn a ton from those episodes. I mean, a lot from those episodes. You guys are also going to glean a lot of knowledge from those episodes, even if you know the person, like a lot of times we do. Now, our last thing to introduce is our producer and my brother, Mitchell Gabel.
Hey, yo, what's up?
He said talk
He's
louder.
Fired up today. He did say, what was it, a firmware update? Then we have to talk louder now or something like that?
Something like that. Something
That's just bullshit.
nerdy and whatnot.
He was, something about technology he said, and it went over my head entirely. So
Threw in a quick ad there during the intro, eh?
Definitely not an ad.
Yeah, you're
For
a huge marketer.
For sure. Marketing is just not my skill at all either.
Buy our stuff.
Yeah. If you like being fit, train with us. That's about all I got.
Hey, that's all we need.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
If you don't want to order Domino's at 10 p.m. at night.
Yeah. You guys filled me in on that story after your hockey game.
Hopefully that team does listen to this episode because they would benefit a lot from our episodes because they need it bad.
All triple XLs.
Literally, literally, like their average weight has got to be over 300 pounds.
And not like a Will Be Inspired.
No.
Triple XL.
No.
Yeah.
No. Like Will Bates would murder these people.
Well,
which
murder
okay,
anybody.
that's not really a good example because Will would, like you said, that's not a great example. But this team literally ordered pizza after our game at 10 o'clock.
Not only ordered it, because that's one thing.
Yeah.
But had it waiting. The pizza man was waiting for them after the game. Like that is, I wasn't there, but just the way you guys described the story, it just sounds ridiculous.
That's 100% accurate right there. That's exactly what happened.
I'm just picturing like a Domino's guy just sitting there like with his little bag
outside
waiting.
the ice rink.
It's 10:30 p.m.
Yeah,
just making this face.
Yeah, it's like we want to rethink the decisions here. Like your A1C or your cholesterol is it telling you a story right now that maybe you shouldn't be doing that? But hey,
how are they even playing hockey?
I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, honestly, usually one of their shifts about 20 seconds long or so, give or take.
Perfect.
So they're not really useful when they're on the ice, but that's a whole nother point.
If I played hockey, I would play the entire 60 minutes. It's simple. You have a break in between each 20-minute period.
Right.
It's pretty easy to me.
Yeah, I can't imagine how NHL players don't play a whole game.
That's what I'm
saying. It makes no sense to me, really.
Connor McDavid and blah, blah. It's like, dude, he doesn't even play.
Yeah,
he's on the ice for like 25 minutes
literally
a game.
25 minutes a game. Like, come on.
That's a third of the game. Sick, dude. Like, it's just such a simple sport. It really is.
Yeah, the guys on the bench are absolutely redundant. I mean, they're not even. I mean, you might as well just have 5 players and then just.
Well, no, you need 6. You have to have a goalie.
Oh, of course. Well,
you're right.
Ever played?
obviously.
Ever played the sport before?
Yeah.
Oh,
Idiot. But
that was like Mitchell and I were talking about. We were watching NCAA D1 lacrosse, and literally their bench is like 50 people long. And they're all dressed. It's like some of these guys are not touching a game the entire season. They're still having to dress.
Right.
It's like that's awful.
Yeah.
I would hate that.
College baseball's like that too. Some
crazy.
schools have 60 guys on the roster. There's 9 dudes on the field.
Like literally though, like what the 60th dude's going to get into the game?
Yeah,
and he's fully dressed.
Just counting on like 30 injuries.
Literally, that's crazy.
Meanwhile,
how many
I have
scholarships
10.
are we giving out here?
Very little.
I was saying,
in a real sense.
College baseball, it's like what 5 to 10 scholarships or something like that.
They have. It's like, is it 9.1 for a roster of like typically most of them have like 40.
Wow.
But it's like 9.1 or something like that is the average amount of scholarships. Yeah.
That's crazy to think about.
It is crazy.
Well, think about it with lacrosse, it's probably even less.
Probably even less. I'm sure hockey is even less.
100%.
You know, obviously most of that money goes to football and basketball for
Yeah.
especially the big schools, which like I get it. You know, if you're at
Makes
Alabama,
sense.
get the best players because look at your stadium,
Yeah.
look at the amount of money you bring into the school, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, like I mentioned, we have a Forging Fortitude episode. What'd you say?
I said, great transition, because you're right. Because I was like, we'll go down a rabbit hole of sports if we're not careful. So
we can talk sports all day long.
all day
That's
long.
fine,
Yeah.
Like I mentioned, we have a Forging Fortitude episode for you guys today, and we really wanted to just get to this quickly here and no talk and start executing. That's the biggest thing. You know, it's just no words, just execution.
Yeah.
That's kind of the better way to put it. But we really live in a world today through social media, through really just life. It's not even just social media. You know, we talked a lot about that last episode, and I thought we made some really good points, both positives and negatives of social media, because there are plenty of both, and we really covered that well, I thought. But we really live in a world where people like to talk, and people like to talk about what they're going to do, not what they're doing. And there's a big difference there, you know, and it's frustrating to see. I think the biggest reason it's frustrating is because we've been there.
Absolutely.
We've been there.
We know what that spot feels like.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it took us probably, this is ballpark, but if I had to guess, at least 6 months of us sitting at the movie theater bar where we started all this, which again, it's a great story.
Yeah.
But it took us probably at least 6 months of just sitting there talking about it and trying to plan and trying to plan and trying to plan this and plan that. And what's this going to look like? How's this going to go? You know, what do we want to call it? I mean, how many different names did we go through?
It was at least like 10 plus.
Yes.
Actually, though.
And some of them were just so bad.
Oh, they're horrible.
Just so bad. I mean, we literally had one that was J squared because we're both Jacob. I think we might have even had.
What's so funny, Mitch? Huh? Oh, is that funny? Just trying to be entrepreneurs over here. And all we get is laughs.
Sorry we couldn't come up with a cool name like freaking First Form on our first try, you know?
Like,
Nike.
You know theirs had a horrible name at first, too. Like 100%. Yeah.
Seventh Form.
Yeah, you know for sure they
but with
started
an
out
F, not even a PH. Nike, you know, like it took us a while.
100%.
But some of those were brutal. I mean,
definitely.
J squared.
Yeah. That made me reconsider if we should have been entrepreneurs when we were coming up with those names, dude. Like, actually, the real talk.
Yeah.
But you're right, though. It took a lot of deliberation on our part to even get to the point where we launched Extrication, which we then decided was not even a good name then, too.
Yeah.
So that was even more deliberation when we got to that point, too. Because did we put the foot on the gas pedal about content after probably 6 months or so and actually posting stuff? Sure.
Yeah.
But then we deliberated about training for a long time, too.
Oh, yeah.
And we just talked about training.
That one was years.
Yes.
You know, because we knew that's what we wanted to do. And, I mean, literal years. Yeah. Probably at least 2 years where we were talking about it and slowly planning things out and whatnot. And then it's like, okay, if we're going to do this, if this is really what we want to do, like we need to do it.
We kind of have to launch it.
Yes.
It kind of has to be a thing for us to be able to do this and learn from it. Yeah.
Exactly. 100%. You know, and then when we, back to the first, you know, Extrication you mentioned, you know, when we wanted to come up with a logo and something like that, or even with Untapped, when we wanted to make that switch and make a logo for that, we also needed help. Like, we don't know how to do that.
Yep.
You know, we could probably learn now because we've got skills through Adobe and whatnot, and some of that translates. Mitch has good skills with that as well, and but we had to find some close friends and people close to us, be like, hey, can you help us out with this? You know, and luckily we have great people that support us and whatnot, and so they were more than willing to help. But still, it was planning and planning and planning. And I actually distinctly remember we were at that bar one night when I was working. Guys, we didn't just go to a bar every day and just
get
drink our
hammered.
sorrows
Yeah,
away.
yeah, that's not what it was.
Yes, I was working at this movie theater bar. But I very distinctly remember us being like, okay, we just have to do this. Like, we don't have a social media account yet. We don't have anything set up. We haven't gone live with anything. We keep talking about it. We were even talking about it on our personal stories and stuff. And it's like, we just have to do this. And then you and I, we met up at a Club Fitness here nearby, and we were in the parking lot the morning that we launched, and we launched it. And I can remember these key details, which is fun it's really fun to look back on and be like, man, that's where we started. That's how it started and all that stuff. But we also had a really good feeling once we had finally launched. It was terrifying because like we were out there then, especially with the training here recently. It was just like, holy shit, like this is real now. You know, like we're doing it. But that feeling of, okay, we finally hit the start button. You know, like we finally did it. Enough of the planning, enough of the talking, all of it. Like we're going, and it's a good feeling. You know.
Yeah, 1,000%. It's the only thing that early on we probably took direct action on quickly was merch. Like each time you and I have not, and we've discussed this before with friends, and I don't know, we've probably discussed in the podcast at some point in time, but like merchandise right now is not one of our top priorities.
No.
It's just that every once in a while we'll do a drop just to get some support from people and get our name out there and whatnot.
Right.
Maybe we should promote it more, but honestly, training's I think our focus 100%. Right now over anything else.
Yeah.
But the point is that when we want to do that first drop, we're like, okay, we're doing this. Within 2 weeks, we made the decision, got the order, and got it going. Yeah. Same with the second drop. We did the same thing. We got it going in no time. So that was actual action from us, and we saw really good success both times from it.
Definitely.
We thought we were going to lose a bunch of money. To be completely honest with you, we ended up not losing money, which is phenomenal.
Which was crazy.
Yeah, crazy to think about because, again, we only have done it twice.
Yeah.
But...
And with the first drop, you remember, like we literally took pictures on my roof.
On your roof.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which like it's cool.
Yeah.
It's cool, but like it's funny.
It was
you know?
we were like, let's do something goofy so we like catch people. They're like, why are they on a roof right now? But then you know, it went well. Yeah. We had a giveaway a part of it, but
my parents surprised us with those first shirts and whatnot.
100%.
I just came across that video when we gave you yours. Like it was cool. It was cool. A lot of good memories.
It feels really good.
To
look back on that type of stuff.
But
it was. Yeah, that's kind of the overall point here because I wanted to now make a point of a couple I became friends with, John Fogarty and Danielle Ambry Fogarty, which her original name was Ambry before she got married to John. She was like talking about doing a podcast. I remember when I was chatting with her about it and whatnot, when her and John, I would talk to them. And what was interesting is that within 2 to 3 weeks of me talking to her, she had already started recording episodes and all that stuff already. And hers is releasing soon. I think it's called Declassified, like uppercase D classified, because Danielle, it's kind of cool. She'll have great content, but the point is 2 to 3 weeks action. And she owns a photography business, for example, and that's also a good example of why she understands the importance of execution and just doing something and making it happen.
Right.
And she said she already has like 5+ episodes banked or something like that, which is crazy to think about. But that's a great example of she talked about it and then she executed.
Yeah.
Literally I was like, do it, Danielle. When I was talking to her, I was like, do it. Like a bunch of people would benefit from that. 2 to 3 weeks. And every other conversation I've had it with somebody like, I want to start a podcast. They're like, yeah, but this and that.
I was going to say, like, how many people have come to us and be like, yeah, I'd love to start one.
Yeah.
Okay, do it right now. Like, you probably have AirPods or a pair of Beats or something. Throw those on, talk into that. You don't have to have the whole setup and everything that we've worked towards now.
Exactly.
Like, we've told the story a million times. We had one mic in between us, not a great mic, but one in between us to start our podcast. And we did the first however many episodes like that. We had an old iPad camera recording us. It was terrible.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we did it. We started that way. That's okay.
100%.
You know, if you want to start your own training business, it's not very difficult.
Yep.
Like, it really isn't.
Train people for free. Get into another job that you do training with and whatnot. Learn how to do online training if you want to do it. Like, look up ways, different platforms you can use to do online training. Get experience. Train people for free. Train your friends for free. That type of stuff. That's what we did. That's what you have to do. You have to do that stuff because if you're not executing, you're not doing anything.
Right.
Words don't mean anything.
No.
Words mean nothing. That's why to me, I've talked about this before. Words don't really like bother me if somebody like comes at me. It's more just like actions. Is like if somebody does something to, let's say, betray me or something like that. That's different.
Yeah.
Then words, they can say whatever. I'm like, okay, like no big deal.
Right.
Like if they say something to you or Mitch, I'm gonna beat their ass 100%. That's just me. But it's like actions actually mean something. And everybody should understand that.
Yeah.
Like you can take the emotions out of words and understand that if you are actually wanting to, let's say you want to build a life that is outside the norm or outside the box or whatever, then, and you're going to talk about that and you feel that way, but then you just stick in your regular lifestyle that you were looking for, you're going to regret that down the line too.
Yeah.
If you don't execute, you're going to regret that down the line. And that's pretty bad if you think about it. If you're down the road and you're on your deathbed and you're like, oh, shoot, I should have done that. Mm-hmm. That's a pretty sobering feeling to think about, where you're like, I didn't do it. Right. I didn't advance my skills in my cybersecurity job like Mitch. I didn't advance my skills in training. I didn't advance my skills in whatever field I'm in because I was like afraid of learning something new or taking a different path or, launching my LLC or whatever. And it's like, you won't regret taking action. That's just true. You might make mistakes and fail. Oh,
you will. Yeah.
Scary. Whatever. Like that's how it is.
100%. And people love to plan and talk about what they're going to do and talk about it and all this stuff to be prepared to start. That's what everyone like. Well, I'm trying to plan out everything, so I'm ready to start. No, you're just scared.
Yeah. And
you can't admit it to yourself, and you're certainly not going to admit it to us, because how many times have people told us that? People we've worked with, just friends, things like that. I want to be ready to start. I want to make sure everything's ready to go. Okay, I get the thinking there of wanting to be prepared. However, if you are continually doing that, I think you said it in a past episode, it's a very, I think you said a crippling mindset.
Yeah.
Because you're never going to advance. Like, you're never going to advance with it. You're never going to advance with the business as you've started it and things like that. Like, you're never going to do it. It's the biggest thing. You're never going to do it.
Yeah.
And we fell victim to that, but we said, no, like, we just have to start. And we did. And we have,
100%.
And I think the other biggest excuse, or at least one of the other ones here, and kind of the final point, is just, what do most people say when we tell them, it's like, just start your podcast, Danielle. Like, just start it.
Yep.
And it sounds like she did not say this. However, most people will say, well, just with my full-time job and everything, and I'd like to work out most days if I can. I just don't have the time for it. You do. It doesn't have to be 6 hours a day.
Exactly.
It can be, if 30 minutes is all you can dedicate to it that day, then dedicate 30 minutes to it. It's better than 0 minutes.
Yep.
If it's 10 minutes, do it. And if then you're lucky enough to have an hour or an hour and a half or 2 hours or something, then my goodness, that's a great day. Okay? I get it. There's life involved. Some of you have families and kids and maybe even multiple jobs and things like that. Like, it gets crazy. I get that. Okay? But there's time. There's time.
No doubt.
Instead of watching Netflix or something on your lunch break, use that 15, 20, 30 minutes to do something productive for yourself.
Without a doubt. I literally was having a conversation with one of our clients on a call yesterday. And she basically asked, is if I only have 15 to 30 minutes that day, what should I do? And I'm like, well, I just programmed a workout that you can then do. And she basically asked, like, can I do this if, like, I don't really have time to actually, like, go to the gym and make this happen and whatnot? I'm like, absolutely. That's why I put it in there.
Yeah.
Because that should only take you 15 to 30 minutes. There's like basically like a flow that I do before my hockey games as a warm up in there, plus other workouts we program for her too. Mm-hmm. And it's very basic body weight stuff and whatnot, but she's still moving that day. I'm like, absolutely, you can do that 15 to 30 minutes.
100%.
If that's all you have, make it happen.
Yeah.
That's the thing. You always have time in your day for that type of stuff.
Yeah.
No matter what. And again, are we saying that are we like ignoring the fact that there's jobs that are very demanding? No, we're not. I know guys who work 70 to 80 hours a week who still make it happen.
Yeah, right.
60 plus hours a week, still make it happen. Because again, there's 168 hours in a week?
Something like that.
If you really think about it, 168 hours in a week, it's a lot of time.
Yeah.
You're working for 60 to 70 of that? Okay, you should have a good amount of extra time, get good sleep still, and be able to do your stuff.
Right.
At least hypothetically.
Right.
That you should, and because let's say you're left over with 5 to 10 hours or 5 hours of the week. 5 hours is still a lot to be able to move
absolutely.
and to be able to do other stuff. So we were talking about before we even started the episode, we're like, even if you have 10 hours to dedicate to something that you want to do as a side thing, whether it's like editing content or whether it's like putting out cool content and whatnot, or maybe you have knowledge on something super specific that you can then put on to Instagram, you start at one platform, you move to X, you move to YouTube, whatever. All of a sudden you start realizing, okay, I have a couple more hours to dedicate to all this editing and putting content out. Content is probably the easiest way to do it for most people, because literally like making a video and then write up a caption takes very little time. And you can just start with one platform.
Oh yeah.
And getting that knowledge out there. Again, clean it up, make it look like presentable, but if you would rather just do like speaking educational content, it doesn't have to look like a curated edited video like Wurtz's do. Now, if that's something you want to go to, as you know, there's a lot of work involved with that too.
Definitely.
So there is hours you have to put into learning how to make it look very aesthetic too.
Absolutely.
So you have to choose which idea you're going out. Now, if you're looking to get promoted at your job, you might have to put 5 to 10 hours extra outside of work into like extra learning for that field you're in too. Same concept, because then you're going to get better.
Right.
It's the same thing. Like if I didn't, spend time, whether it's messaging wide over the weekend or something like that, or us messaging each other about new research or different information we see out there, we wouldn't get better as trainers either.
Right.
So we discuss certain things like that too.
Right.
So then we can learn and get better too.
Yeah.
And a good example about action as well is one of our friends, Drew Nichols. 18-year-old kid launched his detailing business.
Yeah.
DN Details. If you guys need your car detailed and whatnot. Again, action.
Yeah.
He's doing that type of stuff. He has the equipment for it. He's making it happen.
Oh, yeah.
He's actually done it with Mitchell's car,
Yeah.
for that matter, too.
Where I work, he's going to have it's like 8 or 10 weekends where there's big baseball tournaments going on, and he's going to have a dedicated spot at our facility to set up his stuff. Like, it's awesome.
There you go.
It's awesome. Yeah.
And again, that's taking action. That's the stuff we're talking about.
He's 18 years old, like you just mentioned.
Yeah.
That's a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one of the benefits, by the way, of us doing what we do, is that we get to interact with young men like that.
Oh, yeah.
Because I was having this conversation too, like our generation essentially has to turn around the country by action of what our parents and older generation, as you talked about last episode, have basically let like kind of fall and whatnot. So we have to now, since our country's in the place it is now, by action turn it around. It's on our shoulders because we're the young ones that have to do it. It's not like some 60-year-old's going to go and fight the government or something like that. It's just not going to happen.
Our generation, like, we're the next leaders. That's
Exactly.
the biggest thing,
So that's why it's so important to do and execute on things, because if we don't, we're going to also lose the country along with the way too.
Yeah.
As we've talked about.
Yeah.
So
it all ties together.
Just understand when you guys talk to us, the response you're going to get if you're talking about doing something is we're going to say do it.
Yeah. Oh,
Almost, I mean, essentially every time. Now, it's something dumb, we'll probably tell you that too.
Right.
Like if it's literally like, what's a stupid example? I'm trying to think of some stupid example or something like that.
I'm going to run into traffic.
Wow.
I don't know. That was pretty dumb.
I mean, yeah, it is pretty dumb. If you're going to, try to be the next professional skydiver and you're 45 years old and you come and tell us that or something like that, okay, like, and you have 4 kids, like, okay, we're probably going to tell you don't do that.
And you're one of the triple XLs on the hockey team.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Yeah, you're going to try to be the next David Goggins tomorrow and you're 350 pounds. Okay, we'll probably let you know that there needs to be a little bit of preparation before that one, of course.
Goggins basically lost 300 pounds in a day. Like literally, damn, though,
I mean, you
lost 100 whatever in 3 months.
You really can't hurt me. That dude's a maniac.
Yeah.
That's a whole another level of mindset that it's hard to comprehend that type of mindset. But
it's very hard to comprehend that determination, that drive, something like that.
It is. But like, I mean, one of his lessons, he speaks from that. And one of the lessons that we're even talking about is the execution. Mm-hmm. He did it. He did it to a higher degree than 99.9% of humans ever will and whatnot, of course.
Maybe 100% of humans.
Probably 100% of humans, yeah. More than likely. But it's like, the lesson you can learn is just execute. If you're talking about you don't want to execute that thing that'll take 5 to 10 hours a week, like you need to like have a little self-awareness and be like, okay, I probably could put 5 to 10 hours a week into this.
Yeah. And we're not saying 5 to 10 hours in one day. We're saying in a week.
In a week. Yeah.
30 minutes here, hour there, maybe an hour and a half on this day, 20 minutes on it. You can make it happen.
Yeah.
You can make small steps forward.
Yeah.
It's the biggest thing.
Well, and that's a conversation I've even had. I mean, when it comes to Mitch, my parents, you and whatnot, like there'll be plenty of nights where you and I are working until 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night. That's just going to get worse because we're going to have more calls and whatnot. And like, it is what it is. So it ends up that outside of 40, 45 hours a week of actual work I'm doing, like actual work in person, I mean, Untapped then takes up now 20 to 30 hours or more a week. Like I eat and I'm doing work at the same time. And again, I'm not saying hustle culture is a good thing. You don't have to like grind yourself into the dirt, but I'm basically attempting to build my stress tolerance by working more for Untapped, because I know if I work a lot now, then hypothetically, whenever I have children, I'm a father, I can also handle that stress tolerance that comes along with that too. And again, like we talked about, we're going to have to turn the world around.
Yeah.
So it's kind of an understanding for both of us that we're going to have to do a lot to turn the world around.
Right.
It's not going to be able to be a 40-hour-a-week thing to turn the world around. It just won't.
Right.
And again, if you don't want to work more than 40 hours, at least be honest about it. You know what I mean? At least be honest. Like, don't come to us and tell us you want to do something. Just be honest. Be like, 40 hours a week is good for me.
Yeah.
At least be honest about it. You know what I mean? Because then we can know.
There's nothing wrong with that.
But like, don't come to us and be like, I'm going to start this thing. And we're going to be like, okay, do it. And then we see you 3 months later, you still haven't done it.
Right. Yeah.
Don't lie to us.
Exactly. Well, guys, at the end of all of our non-guest episodes, Money Mitch will ask us a Q&A question that is submitted by you guys, the viewers or the listeners. Now, there's a few different ways. One way that we actually have not been mentioning, and this is how today's question was brought to us. But anyway, first way, DM them to us on Instagram at untapped.llp. You can also DM them to us individually if you would like. You can text them to us as well if you have our numbers. You can email them to us, extricationfitness@gmail.com. There is also an email button in our Instagram bio because I know that's a mouthful, as we talked about earlier. You can leave them in the comments on our YouTube videos or our Instagram posts or TikTok posts. We are everywhere. We're on all of the social platforms. All of the podcast episodes are on YouTube. In case you didn't know that, maybe this is your first episode. You can also watch us and see our goofy reactions. But the last way, and I actually don't 100% know how to do this, but you can submit these through Spotify. Again, that's how today's was brought to us. So I think there's maybe a leave response button or something.
So I believe it's at the top of our profile. So if you click on the Untapped podcast profile, I believe it's at the top of the profile where you can like submit a question on there.
Maybe while we're talking about this, maybe I'll look here.
I believe that's correct. But you also, while we're at it, can also rate the show while you're at the top of our profile too. Leave a 5-star review. That helps us a bunch because the stuff we talk about, we're going to get negative reviews because people are soft. So just be aware that we're going to get negative reviews. Your guys' 5-star reviews can continue to put us at the top of the charts if you really like our content too.
Definitely. So the way to do this on Spotify, real quick here, you click on the actual episode. So like I click on episode 113, last week's episode. Then there is a Q&A little spot. If you barely have to scroll down, and then what did you think about this episode? You can put a reply in there.
Yep.
So very, very easy. So that's another way to submit questions, guys. That's a more private way if you'd rather do that. With all that being said, Money Mitch.
Gentlemen, I've been taking creatine for a while, and I was curious on if there was an event or training where it would be beneficial to stop taking the supplement.
Great question. I love creatine.
Really good question.
Love creatine.
There's so many questions about creatine too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Which is always surprising because it is like genuinely the most researched supplement.
For sure.
It's just that a lot of times as we've talked about, it's gotten a reputation as if it's steroids.
Sure.
When in reality it's in like steak and beef.
It's literally in red meat.
It's literally in red meat. So if you eat that type of stuff, you're getting creatine. Now, we talked about this a little bit in past episodes a while back about supplements and physical vitality episodes. One, if you're a man, highly recommend taking about 10 grams of creatine a day. Just prefacing before we answer the question here. Women, about 5 grams a day.
Yep.
Pretty much every supplement has a 5-gram dosage, and it says creatine monohydrate. That's the right one to buy.
Yes, not dihydrate, not
bihydrate, HCl, or whatever the
Yep.
made-up ones that they're coming up with nowadays. Because they're going to try to scam you and tell you it's better. It's not. Creatine monohydrate, 5 grams for women, 10 grams for men. If you're getting 5 grams for anybody, that's like a great number to be at.
Then that's fine.
For sure.
And yes, even on non-training days.
Even on non-training days,
Yes.
100%.
Yes.
That's like if I'm not training, I'll do it in my like protein shake. I'll take 2 scoops of level 1, whatnot, and then put creatine in there, and boom, I'm good to
do
go.
that. I put it in with the First Form hydration sticks,
Yep.
which is kind of like liquid IV, sort of.
Essentially.
I've heard people mix it up with orange juice, things like that.
True.
It really doesn't have a taste on its own. I personally am not going to drink it by itself because I think mentally it would kind of mess with me.
Yeah.
But yes, even on non-train days, we want to make that point.
Now, as for the question, if you should stop taking it for a certain event, let's say you're doing an endurance event, strength event, whatever, high rocks games, CrossFit games. I'm trying to think what else, like sports-wise. I was trying to Ironmans. I was really trying to think of an event where it would be like beneficial to stop taking it. I can't think of one where it would be.
Yeah.
Because one, creatine's amazing for maintaining muscle mass. That's why, like, especially 10 grams for men, if you're in a cut, it's amazing for maintaining muscle mass.
Absolutely.
Let's say, like, you do need, like, let's say you're doing a bodybuilding show. You wouldn't cut it then either. High Rocks games, which is like more of an endurance thing, like a version of a CrossFit games, but, you know, less CrossFit-y. That's something you would 100% keep taking creatine for.
Marathons and things like that.
Helps retain water, which is also a good thing. People think you'll get bloated. That's not true if you're exercising and whatnot for an event. Like, that's false too.
Yeah.
A lot of falsehoods around creatine.
Definitely.
As it goes. As there is for a lot of supplements for that matter too, but creatine especially. Endurance events, I would also say continue taking creatine because you need to maintain muscle mass, especially like for strength, the shin splints in the lower body. If you're training running and cycling, for example, an Ironman, and you're doing that weekly or daily, you definitely need to be maintaining muscle mass, because if you maintain the muscle mass, it's going to maintain the longevity of your muscles and your bone density, etc. All that stuff that comes along with it.
There's a lot saying now too that it has cognitive function benefits as well.
There you go. I'm glad you mentioned that.
Yeah.
Because yes, cognitive function, especially for somebody like me who's all over the place and whatnot, very beneficial. Because it does help. It is shown now, like there's more research coming out where it does help avoid cognitive impairment.
Yeah. Even things like dementia down the road, things like that. You know, exercise on its own is going to keep that up, and just in general doing things, especially as you get older, like that will keep your brain working and things like that. Why do you think old folks' homes are always doing things?
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
Like that's a part of the reason. It's not just to keep them
Yep.
entertained, but it's to keep their brains working, you know? And, but yeah, no, I want to keep going. You're doing great.
I'm trying to think. Can you think of any events though?
No.
Because I really can't think of anything. Sports, you would also take creatine for
100%.
No
you should
doubt.
Be taking. Yes.
No, I mean, you could be doing dance or gymnastics.
Yeah.
Gymnastics, definitely. They beat the crap out of their bodies in that sport.
Gymnastics,
oh my gosh.
Athletes, men and women, their strength
Savages.
and stability is insane. Insane. You know, when you're younger, you kind of think it's like, oh, you're in gymnastics.
Yeah, you're gay.
Yeah. Well, or just like,
but it's not true. You're savage.
That, or like when you watch it, it's like, oh, it's not very impressive, but it's extremely impressive, you know? Or like on all of those, like America's Got Talent type shows where there's like acts that are doing things like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it is crazy.
Cirque du Soleil type
yes,
stuff. Yeah.
Yes.
You'd still take it then, too.
100%. Yeah. So basically the answer is no. And that's not us just being, you know, meatheads and saying, take your creatine, but like, take your creatine.
It's genuinely like that good of a supplement.
Yes.
That good of a product.
All of my high school athletes, I tell them to take it.
Yes.
Maybe not the younger high school, and certainly not younger than high school.
Essentially by 15 or 16, though, they can be consistently taking it.
Yes.
That's probably the caveat I'd give, like 15 or 16 years old. That's when anything before that, I wouldn't say they necessarily need creatine.
It's probably not going to harm.
At least there's no research that I've seen that'll harm them.
Right.
But again, like you have so much testosterone starting at that point in time, like you don't like
your body's just changing a lot.
Exactly.
So
I genuinely can't think of. I mean, a cheerleader, they could benefit from it. You've seen like Nate Shaper from First Form, like when he does cheer stuff, his wrist is bent this way, back the opposite way, essentially.
Well, he's just got to have that shoulder stability and strength, things like that. Like
the girls on the top of the stunts and whatnot, they have to 100%. Yeah, you have to like have your body, and again, like that's why we've talked about strength training for women too, and creatine for women. That's why it's so beneficial for them.
Absolutely.
I'm not saying you have to turn into the next, Arnold Schwarzenegger as a woman. Of
and
course.
You won't if you start taking creatine. You're not just going to automatically look like that.
Yeah.
It is a supplement.
Yeah.
It helps all of these things that we have mentioned. So bottom line is no.
I was racking my brain. Now, again, maybe we forgot something, but I highly doubt it.
Yeah.
I really highly doubt it. Marathon, half marathon, Ironman, cycling, ruck event, strength trained event, High Rocks, CrossFit, sports, all sports, including cheerleading, dance, gymnastics, hockey, baseball, doesn't matter. Football.
Gaining.
Bulking.
Yeah. Gaining. Why did you say gaining?
No, gaining makes sense. It's technically,
I know.
technically the same thing. Yeah. But I genuinely can't think of anything.
And for the most part, it's pretty cheap per serving.
Yes.
Like honestly,
hypothetically,
it
should be.
Yes.
Now I think it's the price increased a little bit because
Yeah.
of like shipping issues and whatnot.
Right.
Like, our administration shit in the bed with
They're just
foreign
so
relations
awesome.
and stuff like that. Yeah.
So
that type
awesome.
of stuff. They ruin everything, including creatine. Yep. Yeah, which shows how bad of an administration is that they can literally touch creatine and shit the bed on that too.
Yeah.
Because all I'm saying, All I'm saying is when Trump was in office, it was like $10 for 100 servings.
It was barely more.
Now
than
it's like
that.
20 or 30, and Biden's in office.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
all I'm saying, you can't get your creatine now.
Trump loves his creatine, you know.
All I'm saying, Trump's got to be on TRT. That's all I'm saying. With his
I would hope
his
so.
cognitive function,
Yeah.
he's on something. I don't know what it is, but it's something. Yeah.
Bottom line, take your creatine for
Yes.
sure.
Yes.
And then no words, just execution.
Boom. And share the show, and rate the show.
And as usual,
Yeah.
share the show. Share it to your Instagram story, share it to your friends, family, text it around, tell people. We keep getting people. It's like, yeah, I was telling all these people, blah, 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 about the podcast. Like, keep that up, guys. Like, we can see the literal numbers continuing to grow. It works. When you tell people about it, when you post it to your stories, it works, and it works really effectively. So, guys, keep that up. We appreciate the love, as always. And until next time, peace and love.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.